So today I was reading this very famous judgment called Kesavanada Bharti case, and during that, while I was reading, so it's a very important case with respect to the changing of bringing the amendments in the constitution of our country, India. So this is the Constitution of India, and basically it pertains to the Article 368 of the Indian Constitution. So while I was reading that, it's a very famous case called Kesavananda Bharti case versus State of Kerala 1973. So while reading into that, how we came to this judgment, this conclusion that the constitution can be amended, because before that, during the IC Golaknath case versus State of Punjab, in that case, the Supreme Court, the apex court, said that we cannot alter the basic structure or the framework of the constitution. But in this, similarly, they said that the amendment of Article 368 Clause 4, excluding the judicial review of the constitutional amendment, was unconstitutional. But in this case, there are various very long span of great judges that have sat here and they've talked. There's one thing I really liked. So how they have come to the conclusion, and they have given reference to different constitution of the world, but majorly very important line that they have said, Justice K.S. Hedge and Mukherjee, they said that our constitution is not merely a political document. It is essentially a social document. It is based on the social philosophy, and every social philosophy, like religion, has two aspects. One is the basic, first part is the basic thing, and second is the circumstantial. So in this case, the constitution, the apex court, they have said that you can bring the changes subject to the change in the circumstantial part, not the basic structure. So in order to, being a law student, I kept on reading that you can change the constitution, but you cannot change the basic structure of the constitution. But they have, in this case, in before that also, in that Golaknath, it did not define what is basic structure. But in order to understand, like, see, I have been this very philosophical person because I want to know the background. So what does this basic structure means? So in the later part, they have said, and with the passage of time, they have added on so many things like the supremacy of the constitution, republican and democratic forms of government, secular character of the constitution, separation of power, legislature, executive, judiciary. These all were considered as the basic structure of the constitution. But bringing changes into the circumstantial part, that is allowed. You can't be changing the organ of the constitution. And very importantly, there was this the concept of flexible and rigid constitution was actually coined by Lord Bryce in the American Constitution. And then later on, we see that the very famous Lord A.V. Dicey in the Law of Constitution, he utilized the same particular word, flexible and rigid, and that is how we today in the law fraternity, or even apart from law fraternity, they know how it is. So when we read about that, Lord Birkin, he used the similar words, not utilizing the word flexible and rigid. He used the word uncontrolled and controlled. They have both have the same context, nothing difference. But H.R. Khanna, he said this thing, that the constitution is essentially different from the pleadings filed in the court of litigation, because pleading contains claims and counterclaims of the private party and engages in the litigation, whereas the constitution provides the framework to the different forms of organ of the state, which is executive, legislature, judiciary, and also reflect the hopes and aspirations of the people. It is, in a way, they have categorically used the word, it shows and laid out the norms and functioning of the different organs of the constitution and how the nation to march forward in times to come. So in a way, it is the vehicle of life of the nation, not just a mere document that you just read and you can just change. It has the essence. And how smart our constitutional makers were, that they thought that whatever is relevant today might not be relevant in afterwards. So they give the provision that you can bring the change into the constitution with respect to the demand of that particular time, and whereas bringing any change which actually devours the future generation to bring certain devours the future generation to bring the particular changes into that particular constitution, the organ, that amendment is not right. So, and they have also discussed, like, if the person who don't want to speak, definitely if the person comes to that person comes to the power, they will not allow, and they will consider it is fine not to give the right to freedom of speech and expression. So in that way, they were so far-sighted that they thought how India has gone through, what India before getting the independence, what they have struggled, the people of country have struggled, and they have seen, and they have gone through, and they have give very thoughtful and very meticulously thought about how our Indian country, as a future generation, it is our responsibility to reflect upon those thoughts and how we should be moving forward in the times to come. So it's a great thing. I don't know, I just wanted to share, so I just share. Thank you. I hope you got this snap of it, how these beautiful judgments are written, and very minutely they have decided to see what India holds and what India is going to be in future. So in our present times, we should be very careful what we are doing, how we are doing. Thank you.